Okay, so this is the week 16 of the semester. And that means that we are just at the end of the semester. The semester has 18 weeks. So we are over. Since this is the last unit, and this unit talks about conversation as a dialogue, this is mainly focused in dialogues, conversing with other people. What I explained during the other class from last week, that you had to see or watch the video from last year, was about understanding what the conversation as a dialogue means and what the dialogue explained, or trying to explain what a dialogue is, having two or more people included in a conversation. And we saw dialogues that are simple dialogues of everyday life, which is fine, and that's a good start. One of the most interesting dialogues that was there was the one that happened in a restaurant. And that was very interesting because when you ordered food and when you receive your food, there has to be some questions in between. And those questions are specific questions. So you need to know more about how to ask for food and how to receive the food, and also how to ask for the check when you're going to be paying, and all of those words that are included in that conversation, because it's going to happen to you. Someday in your life, you're going to have to go to a restaurant and speak just in English. And you may just say, oh, no, but I'm going to live my life in Mexico and I don't care about English. We talked about this before. As a professional engineer, going to the real world, you are facing yourself with 4 different types, very important types of communication, as professionally speaking. What are those types? We talk about that. Yes, that is written communication. That is verbal communication, speaking, of course. But then you have 2 other types of communication. One is technology or technological communication, which is about using the technology, your cell phone, your computer, some applications like Zoom, what we're doing right now. But the other one, in this globalized world, we talked about this before, the other one is English. And that's why eventually in your life, in this globalized world, you're gonna be using English. And of course, for conversations, this is the most important. And that's why we need to keep talking about that. So to not get so tired, because I still need to be concerned about my health, we're gonna go ahead and try to explain a little more about the class. But in the process of it, I'm gonna tell you that we are going to be having a final work. Yes, there's gonna be a little work for this week for, you're gonna have one of those homeworks that is about using a book, one of those traditional homeworks to answer a book. It's a book section that you're going to be answering, but not just that. For next week, you need to organize yourself for a conversation longer than the one that you submitted before this class. You were working with a partner or with 2 partners. I remember asking you to do some dialogue, simple dialogue, friendly dialogue. You decided the topic and was with 1 or 2 of your classmates. And you were supposed to write it down and record it and send it. So that was it. And it's very simple because probably it only lasted like 1 minute or less than that. But you need to plan ahead, because your final homework, we're talking about the final homework. Yes. Your final homework is about speaking in English, but with a longer dialogue. So again, you're going to record yourself with another person. Because we have the pandemic, I'm going to allow it that that other person could be one of your classmates. But this is good for those of you who are at home in Nacosari or in like Luis Roman. You can record this with someone that is in your job or some other person. Normally, if we were in class face-to-face, like, well, not because of that. Normally, if we didn't have COVID happening right now in 2021, then the homework will be you have to go with another person that is not your classmate. That is one of the requirements, but since we have the pandemic happening because coronavirus, then you can actually do a work again with a class. But you can choose to do it with another person, which is better. If you practice with someone else that is not your classmate, it will help us. It will help you and it will help everyone to do a better job. But that last homework is divided in 2 parts. Ah, professor, yes, 2 different parts. Very interesting. Because yes, you're going to submit your audios by the end of next week, by the end of the week 17. And then there's a very little homework that you're going to have. I'm going to collect all of the audios. I'm going to put them together and I'm going to upload them. I'm going to give you the link so you can listen to all of the dialogues and you are going to grade everyone else. That's going to be fun. At least for everyone, or at least for me, it's going to be fun because you're going to be the ones grading, giving the grades for everyone. And that's what I'm saying. It's going to be fun. So yeah, that's like your last homework. But let's start and let's finish with this class. This is about, like we said, this is conversation as a dialogue, the unit, and this is the part number 2, which we're going to cover here, informal and formal dialogue, telephone conversation, way important. When you are in your professional life, you have to do a lot of phone calls. And not all phone calls are video calls. Like I can see you right now, or you can see me right now. No. Telephone with not a camera is not that easy. So you need to remember that that's one of the types of dialogues that becomes a conversation. And one very interesting, which is asking and giving directions. And of course, I call it interview, which is the homework that you're going to be doing that I just told you. So we have to talk about the question suggestions. So you can start with that. And that, like I said, it's a little longer because it's about like 3 to 5 minutes long, which you need to plan ahead what you're going to be doing for that homework. Okay, so formal versus informal. Let's just go ahead and start explaining all of this. So you can just finish and go and start thinking about your homework. Okay, so this is just about saying what a formal conversation would be. A formal conversation, I think that we all understand by now that this is a serious conversation. And this is mainly, well, right now it's about focusing on your professional life in companies, but of course, we're going to talk about formal conversations when you are talking with peers at your same level or with your bosses. The hierarchical organization is clearly defined. It mostly refers to the structured channel of information within an organization. And one of other definitions that help us to understand this is formal communication normally goes downwards from the hierarchical organization. So in terms of that, what I'm saying here is the hierarchy, we call it what we have in an organization, for example. Who is at the head? The head of the company will be probably the CEO, the director, or someone call it like that, the share. Actually, C is from share. But then what comes next? The management. And then what comes after that? Usually, this is going like not so nice drawing, but usually there comes the supervision positions. And then someone else comes after. But you get the idea. When I'm talking about the hierarchy, oh, there's someone with some volume over there. Watch out for the volume, please. Where you're talking about hierarchy, that's what we're talking about. These positions. So formally speaking, normally it comes downward. They're going to be very formal. Okay. In some circumstances, it can go upwards too. Some of the time, you're going to have to speak with your superiors and you have to do it formally. A formal conversation. Sometimes they are asking you for feedback, for complaints, for suggestions, and it has to be done in a formal way. Okay. Characteristics, it requires a vertical organization with recognition of authority. I just explained that. A structured path is followed. It allows no flexibility because it's very straight, very close. With a very few exceptions, it goes through written channels sometimes, but we're talking about orally, verbally speaking, when you're using your mouth. While it can go two ways, it usually goes downward and it maintains a standard that needs to be respected. It needs to respect definitely the values. I'm gonna mute Cecilia. Yes, because I was hearing some noise. I had to mute. And so the channels, we're talking about the channels that we can have. We said before that yes, sometimes it can go written communication. It can be about digital forms written by websites, or we can use something that like what we're doing right now, like an application like Zoom. Internal forums, etc. Printed statement, bulletins, all of that, basically, all of that information, it has to be formal. And we're talking about formal communication, but of course, we're talking about formal communication that is in a written form. But if we are talking about speaking, of course, we are considering to speak in a professional way with the correct vocabulary, with correct grammar. That's when it becomes complicated, when we add the grammar to it. Whereas, or if I compare to informal conversation, that's easier to understand. Informal usually happens at the same level with people that you are close and with people that you have relationships that are more personal. And that's why over here it appears family first. Informal conversation happens with families. Most people are happy to talk about with families and they feel comfortable. And when you speak with a family member, you're not required to have the best grammar or you're not required to have the best vocabulary, but be careful because if you speak with your elders, with the elders like your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, you have to be polite, you have to be correct because out of respect, you need to be respectful. So be careful about that. It is informal, but still you have to be respectful. Like the question here to understand, do you have any brothers or sisters, kids, pets, especially those with children? Names, ages, where people live, do any family members work or study, where do the kids go to school, etc. Those type of conversations, very simple. That's why I decided to include also here these two people because they are friends. So this is a friendly conversation. In sports, it also happens in sports. Many people love to chat about sports. Yeah, it's an easy conversation and it doesn't need to be formal. It goes very, very informal. Things like, we have examples here. Where can I see the game? Who are the best players? Have you ever played? Do you do anything to exercise? Football, rugby, netball? You start mentioning sports. Socializing and eating out. Informal. It's an easy way to start. Like when you mention, oh, I was thinking on going to this place or to this other place, and then you start just a simple conversation about places, about an area, about a local thing. Shopping and clothing, yeah, that's very informal because usually you go shopping with a friend or a family member. So it keeps informal, an informal conversation. You don't need to have vocabulary that is top or technical vocabulary for that. In an office or a workplace, most people tend to think about clothing because it looks sharp. So why did I added that part? Because yes, at work, professionally speaking, you may be using formal and informal types of conversation with your peers for a more relaxed type of conversation. You just go for informal things. You start asking for things like sports or you start asking for things like clothes. And that is a simple conversation and it goes in an informal way. And when we talk about phones, careful about this. When we talk about using apps, about a model for phones, this is a topic, talking about topics. I'm not talking about talking through the phone, because if we said talking through the phone, then it depends if we're talking about, or if we're talking with family members, or if we're talking with someone that is sort of like an important person, that could be my boss. So it should go in a formal way. So in terms of topics like the phones, yes, we're talking about informal conversation. Oh, I stopped sharing. Sorry. I wasn't supposed to stop sharing it then. I was going to select to go through the next slide and then I stopped it. Sorry, my bad. When we talk about telephone conversation, this is a very simple explain. You can see it from the picture over there. This is just about talking through your phones. So I get my phone and I talk with another person. But this is essential, like I said before, this is essential for any type of job. It's going to be required at some point. Why? Because your client is from the other side of the world. Your client is not here in Moctezuma or in Nakosari. Your client is in Japan, for example. So which one is the easiest way to contact your client that is in Japan? Yeah, one of the ways, yes, is write an email, but we're talking about oral conversation, oral, when you're speaking. So you have to do a phone call. Or sometimes they are calling you. You are answering the phone in English. And that's going to happen from time to time. You may need to speak on the phone in English every day, or even as part of an exam or job interview. That's one of the other things. Next year, like starting almost like March and April, you're going to be having interviews for your internship. Entrevistas para su estadía profesional. And some of those interviews are going to be through the phone. That's the reality. Some interviews are going to be using Zoom or Skype or on other application that you can actually see face to face. But some of those are just through the phone. And some interviews are in English. Professor, are you serious? Is that going to happen? Yes. And it's happening for you in less than 3 months. Because you cannot count November anymore. So it's December, January, February, and then you start sending your curriculum vitae to every company that you can find in this state and in this country and in other countries to try to find an internship position. Yes, that's going to happen. And eventually you're going to face yourself having a conversation through the phone. And let me tell you, that's one of the hardest type of conversations because you are not seeing the other person and you have to speak clearly. There are a few tips that you can use. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. You can always correct. The other person can always ask you to repeat. Or if you're not understanding, you can ask the other person to repeat. Can you repeat that, please? Oh, I didn't get the last word. Can you mention that word again? Learn from your mistakes. Remember this. This is a very good advice. Keep learning from your mistakes. Use new phrases on your phone conversations. There's a little mistake over there. It says phone. Phone conversations every time. Use new phrases. Try to learn more vocabulary. Practice new grammar concepts in phone calls, like modal verbs. Could I ask? How may I help you? For example, here on a phone call, who's speaking? Or who's calling? That's to ask, ¿quién llama? And then the other one is to be able to tell your name. Hi, this is Dinora Monroy speaking. May I ask? Blah, blah, blah. May I speak with? May I talk with? And so on. So this is one of the conversations that you need to pay attention to it. Do you mind waiting a few minutes? They can ask us, or we can ask the other person. Thanks for calling. I'm calling to clarify the reason, expressing the reason. I'd like to leave him a message. When is a good time to call? All of these phrases, you need to identify them because those are used almost in every formal conversation through the phone. So my big advice here, I'm gonna write it again. My advice is for you to practice these sentences. Practice with these sentences. I'm recommending here, there's a small video that I'm recommending so that you can watch it, and it will help you to understand a little more. Rachel English is describing about the English used by when using a phone. And so you can go and watch this short YouTube video so you can understand a little more. Okay. This is a recommendation. I'm just gonna leave it there. For those of you who are interested in learning a little more, go click on it and watch a little more. You're gonna have, I think that you already have these slides, this PowerPoint file is already under week number 16 on your platform. So you can just go and open the slides and click on this video and watch it. We're not gonna watch it right now because we're not going to take the time for it. I'm just leaving it as a recommendation. And another recommendation for you is to role play with a friend. Keep practicing with your friends, and you can actually practice a phone conversation with a friend. Yes, understood? Yeah, of course. Thank you. And one of the nicest conversations that we can encounter in our everyday life is about asking directions. When you are on a street, when you're driving and you are getting lost, you are almost there. Even if you're using your GPS from the phone, you know that if you go to it, sometimes it will give you all of the directions, but sometimes it's not, or it doesn't have the final place. So I'm trying to show it further. Maybe you're not gonna be able to see it. When you use that, the application, Google Maps or whatever it is on your phone, for the GPS to give you the location, sometimes the direction is not all of it on it. So you're lost just by one block or for a few houses, and you still need to ask for directions. And sometimes someone is going to ask you for directions and you're going to have to answer. So here are a few examples of giving directions. And look at this. For those of you who love to everything on Facebook, you can just look for this information. I took the image from them. It's just the image, but you can learn something in Facebook too. English study page through Facebook, and they also have their webpage, englishstudypage.com, and you can learn a little more. So I just took the image from them, but I need to cite them to tell the stories also. So asking for any directions, examples like, how do I get to the library? Is there a pet shop near here? Where is the nearest post office? Do you know where the shopping center is? What's the best way to get to the amusement park from here? Could you help me, please? I'm looking for the bank. Can you tell me the way to the nature hotel? So those are questions that you need to use to ask for directions. And some examples to answer back, to give some directions. Go straight ahead at the traffic light. Continue straight ahead for about a mile. Keep going straight ahead, you will see it on the right. Turn left past the pawn shop. Turn left or right at the second turning. Take a right or left at the junction. Cross the taxi rank and you're there. Interesting, isn't it? So I'm telling you, in your life, sometimes you're going to be asked for directions and sometimes you're going to give directions. But then again, you're going to tell me, professor, but I live in Moctezuma, Kumpas Nakosari, Sierra Alta, I don't know, all of those towns. So everybody here asks for directions in Spanish. But not all of the time in your life. Sometimes another person who only speaks English or who doesn't speak Spanish and can communicate with you by using English, they're going to ask you for directions in English. At least once in your life. I'm telling you this. I don't know if you're going to remember myself, but I don't think so. If it happens in 10 years from now, you're not going to remember this, but I'm telling you, at least once in your life, someone is going to ask you for directions in English. Or once in your life, you are going to ask for directions in English, especially if one of your dreams, if one of your goals in life is to travel around the world. I don't know, maybe you're going to travel to someplace in Europe. You already know English and they know English. So if you go to a country like Sweden, you don't speak Swedish, but everybody in Sweden speaks Swedish and English. And actually, if you go to those countries, everybody speaks 3 languages, but the common languages are the main language, the mother language, and over there will be Sweden and English, and everybody else chooses to learn a 3rd language. Interesting, isn't it? What if you're going to, let me think about it, maybe Thailand? Because you want to go and take a look at Bangkok because it has been going in the news and in some movies, and you want to go and see how the country is. Okay, but you don't speak Thai. But if you ask some people in the street, there is some people who are going to understand English. So you're going to speak in English. Are you getting the idea? Hopefully, yes. Yes, hopefully you're getting the whole idea, the whole point here. We need to talk about this because it's going to happen. Remember that this is part of a dialogue, simple dialogue, but very straight dialogue. Asking and giving direction. For example, if I am new at Universidad de la Sierra and I go there, I don't speak Spanish, and I go through the main building, and then I ask one of you, let us just say, anyone can answer back to me. You're fine with it. I'm gonna take some extra points for you if you answer back. I'm at the main building where the water fountain is. If you remember the school, well, some of you are already at the school. So I'm at the main fountain. And then I ask one of you, hey, can you tell me how to get to the engineering building?
Yes, I can. Walk to the left.
He says, walk to the left. And then I didn't understand the whole idea. Then I'm gonna say, for how long?
Like 20 meters.
Okay, so in 20 meters, what's going to happen? I walk to the left, so I'm imagining that I'm walking through the hallway, and then that's servicios escolares, right? School services, and then I end up
And it's the first, how can I say? I don't remember the word.
Okay, it was like about 20 meters, and it's the first building?
The first building,
On your which side? Left or right?
On your left?
Shouldn't be on my right. I'm coming from the main building through the school services.
Right.
Yes, so it should be on my right. And is the first building on your right? Then I'm gonna say, oh, thank you very much. Hey, hold on, please. Wait a minute. Can you tell me then, once I'm there, how can I find, not how, where can I find, oops, where can I find, my pen went, I had a little problem with the connection. My pen over here. Where can I find Professor Christian? Once I get to that building, because I'm looking for Professor Christian. Can you tell me where can I find Professor Christian? Give me the direction. Does anyone knows? This is like a malefic. Yes, Ana Karen?
It's Anael.
Oh, Anael, okay. Yes.
Where are we exactly?
Okay, now
we could
I am right outside the building, the engineering building. So I'm probably next to the stairs in the middle of the building. So I got lost because the building has stairs and then two different ways. One way is pointing towards the workshop, and the other way is pointing towards the classrooms and the offices. So I'm facing through the stairs and I got lost. So tell me, what can I do? Where can I
Okay,
find?
so we're in front of the stairs.
Yes, we're in front of the stairs. Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, we have to give the indication to not go up the stairs, no?
Okay.
We have to turn to the left and enter the building, the glass door that is there. Enter, go to the end of the hall, turn to the left, and it's the last door.
That's the last word. The glass word. Close the glass door. And then she said, walk the hallway. Ese es el pasillo, muchachos. And then turn left. And he will be at the last door. Okay? Understood? Thank you, Anna. Very well done. So she made sure that I didn't end up even more lost, right? Because I told her, hey, I am already lost. I'm seeing there are stairs and then there's two ways. So I need to find a person here. So she said, like, okay, don't go upstairs, go to your left, cross the glass door, walk the hallway, and turn left, and he will be at the last door. Good. So I can finally get to that door. I knock on the door, and maybe he's there and maybe he's not. I don't know. Because if he's not there, I got lost even more, because then I have to ask another person, where can I find him? I was already outside his office, outside his door, and no one answered. And then probably the other person will tell me, oh, he's probably at the main building. And I'm like, oh. So I have to follow the directions back to go through the main building and try to find him there, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that happens, guys. And that's reality. But that's how we get through life. Okay. So an advice before asking for directions, there is a good suggestion. Be kind to everyone that you're going to ask. You can always use something like, excuse me, sir, madam, lady. And if it's a little more informal, if it's just very young people, you can say guys. Guys is not the same as gay. Okay, this is guys, plural for young people. And then you can start, oh, I'm new here, I'm lost, I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's very kindly and polite. Excuse me, could you help me, please? I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not from around here. Excuse me. Hello, sir. Yes, I think that this is pretty straightforward, easy understood. That just remember, if you ever encounter yourself trying to ask for something, or if someone asks you for directions, they should be kind, very respectful. Some of the phrases to use are like, how can I get, where is, how far is the, whatever we're looking from, the, is there something around here? Could you tell me how to get to, how do I find, pardon me, I'm lost, how do I get to, which is the best way to, could you direct me to, which way do I get to go, do I go to get to, sorry. What's the best way to, excuse me, do you know where the is the right way for, and so on. Easy, easy, easy way to go. Given directions, we just need to remember these things. Oops, let me go back. Let's remember the verbs about turning left, right, going straight, going past, going across, at the corner of, next to, opposite of, in between. So these verbs and prepositions for directions are very important. Go straight ahead, turn back, go back, turn left or right, go along, cross, take the first or second road on the left or right. It's on the left or right. Go past. The easiest way is to. The best way is to. It's in the corner. It's in the middle of the block, and so on. Some examples that we have, because this is very important. Please, I'm gonna ask for some people to help me so I can rest my throat. Thank you very much. We have 10 people can participate actually. We have one little dialogue here at the beginning. Well, I will be okay with just 2. That's fine. I need volunteers for this, please. I have A and B people. So I want 2 volunteers to help me reading these examples.
I want to be the 8.
Okay, Sara E. Gonna be A, and who's going to be B? Anyone? Thank you for your help.
Me, teacher.
Who's me?
Ana Karen.
Okay, good, Anna. Karen, perfect. Okay, so whenever you're ready, and go ahead. You just need to read every part where you are A, Sarai. Whenever it says
Okay.
A, you just read it, and if it says B, it's Ana Karen. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Is there a bank around here?
Yes, there is one right across the street next to library.
Can you give me direction to the petrol station?
Of course, I will. Just follow this road until you come to the main road, turn right, and then continue for about 100 meters. You will see the petrol station on the left.
Is there a bank near here?
Yes, there is one in Orange Street. Orange Street is the third road on your right.
Excuse me, where is it? Where is the school?
It is across from the police office.
Excuse me, could you tell me where the nearest bank is, please?
Walk to 2 blocks and turn left at the bookstore. The bank will be across the street next to the post office.
Is it far from here?
No, it is 10 minutes. Well,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. We just practiced 5 different types of dialogues asking for directions. I just want to point out that, okay, well, after saying that, very good. Most of the pronunciation was correct. Thank you very much. Congratulations, guys. And here's the thing. The petrol station, this is more English from England. Remember that sometimes we encounter that. If you go to the States, to the United States, they are going to understand for sure, but the most common way to say it is the gas station. Okay, so that's the only thing that I needed to clarify. Let's everyone practice here again. I recommend that everyone repeats at the same time that I'm doing it, just for the purpose of practicing, because not everyone is participating. So what I'm recommending here is that you practice, open your microphones and practice. So let's go. We're going to start at the count on 3. I'm going to start with the first one. So 1, 2, 3. Excuse me, sir. Is there a bank around here? And then there's the answer. Yes, there's one right across the street next to the library. Dialogue number 2. Can you give me directions to the petrol station? Oh, of course I will. Just follow this road until you come to the main road. Turn right and then continue for about 100 meters. You will see the petrol station on the left. Is there a bank near here? Yes, there is one in Orange Street. Orange Street is the third road on your right. Excuse me, where is the school? It is across from the police office. Excuse me, could you tell me where the nearest bank is, please? Walk 2 blocks and turn left at the bookstore. The bank will be across the street next to the post office. Is it far from here? No, it's just a 10-minute walk. Thank you very much. You're welcome. You see, very simple, but you need to remember all of those verbs. Across. You need to remember those words like right across. Just follow this road. Turn right, continue. Near the third road on your right. Across again. Nearest. Turn left. Walk will be across the street next to. Is it far? No. And of course, don't forget at the end to thank that person that is helping you. That's always polite. And we should always thank people. And of course, if they're helping us more, right? Okay, so finally here we're talking about and going back to the homework that you are going to be doing for next week. So you have a homework for this week already, and it's about a book, filling up stuff about a book. But Oh, and of course, if we can, we're going to meet on Thursday, this coming Thursday, because it's part of the schedule, the normal schedule. But for next week, at the end of the week, right before the end of the 17th week, you're going to, right before the end of the 17th week, you're going to submit a dialogue, a conversation. The requirement here, there's two specific requirements. Of course, it needs to be a dialogue, but those are not the requirements. First requirement is that you need to speak about 50% of the time, because it's not just about interviewing someone, it's about speaking. And the other part is like, it's about 3 to 5 minutes long. So everyone is going to do this. So, Anael and Alan, I would suggest that you can practice with somebody else. But if you decide, this is only an example. If Anael and Alan decide to do this homework together, it's not about Anael turning the same homework as Alan. Then you have to do two different dialogues. One for Anael with some questions and answers, and one for Alan with some questions and answers, because everyone's dialogue needs to be different. And it's longer than the homework that you're submitting right now. This is a different one. You have had suggestions and examples through these classes, and from the class that we're going to see on Thursday, you get more ideas, because this is for next week, okay? Example, you can talk about personal history questions if you're going to talk with a friend or with a new friend. What's your favorite childhood memory? Do you have any regrets? If so, where are they and why? If you could change anything, this is one of the nicest ones. Anything about your past, would you, and what would it be? What is the best advice a family member gave you growing up? What was the worst advice? And if you choose one of these ones, then you can start making more questions and try to write the answers, practice, and then start recording your dialogue. How would you describe your childhood home? What do you fear most growing up? This is an example. You can also have a dialogue about directions. You can also have a dialogue about going to the restaurant, about having a date. I don't know. Future-minded questions like, what's the first thing on your bucket list? Oh, this is very interesting. Your bucket list. Does everyone knows what the bucket list is? It is a list about desires, about goals, personal goals that you're going to be fulfilling in your life. So here's an example. To start a very deep conversation with a friend, what is the first thing on your bucket list? Do you believe in having a 5-year plan? If you can only accomplish one thing in your life, what would it be? What's your biggest career goal? Do you worry about your future? How have your past experiences shaped your view of the future? Are you afraid to grow older or excited? These are conversation starters. And then you start making some more questions, and the other person who is answering can also ask questions. So this is not just one way. This is two ways conversation, okay? So hopefully you're going to start understanding, and you're going to be asking me for questions. And also you have the list of reference to start studying a little more about this. And so you can practice even more. Any questions right now about the homework?
No, Professor.
Okay. And so, like I said, for this week, only for this week, you are going to be working today, tomorrow, and until Thursday. Of course, you're going to answer back some questions from a book. It's about a dialogue. and it's already opened, I think. I'm just checking. It should be on week 16. Let me see. I'm checking on the platform. It's published, but I haven't I haven't set the date. So I'm updating the date right now. So you can complete this task. And it says that it's due on Thursday. And that is from right now until Thursday. Okay. Because I don't want you to keep working on that one after that, because you need to concentrate yourself into the dialogue that you're going to record with your friend, classmate, or a peer from your job, some neighbor. I don't know. You decide. Okay? Yes? Without further ado, this is the end of our class for today. Let us meet each other on Thursday if everything goes fine. If not, I'm gonna let you know, of course, beforehand. So thank you guys for showing on your computers. Thank you for your understanding, because I cannot be there for you, but somehow we're here. And please, if you haven't signed the list, just make sure that you signed your name. Put your names on it. So there's a few people that have already left the names, so I can check for the attendance. Okay, thank you.